there were any lingering assertions that perhaps Amber Heard's team would just take and hold this L for the rest of the week, hopefully get to the closing arguments, and then just weave some master narrative that would somehow befuddle the entirety of the jury, well, it looks like they're going to try to go down swinging, or go down like the Hindenburg, because they're doing the dumbest thing, or the only thing that they really have left, because we got it right here from somebody who was inside the courtroom. They were there for the Friday, for the final motion hearings, for the deliberations in front of the judge, okay, getting all of the non-witness stuff, okay, all of the legal stuff, getting all of those gimmicks out of the way, so it's just going to be full court press throughout the rest of the week here. So Amber Heard's going to continue her case in chief, and it's probably going to crescendo with, like you see here, as Shanley Painter has pointed out, and who is she? We'll get into that in a moment here, but she has pointed out that Johnny Depp is going to be called by Amber Heard's team tomorrow, Monday, first thing. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? It makes zero fucking sense, unless you understand that there's a countersuit that's there. It is that $100 million countersuit by Amber Heard's team, and it has to be proved, it has to be backed up, there has to be some sort of validity, there has to be some ties, because the countersuit is all predicated on the statements that were made by Adam Waldman, right, one of Johnny Depp's attorneys. He's representing him in some form or fashion. They don't have concrete ties between the two, okay, and the countersuit from Amber Heard's side is saying that all of these damages, even though they can't point to specific damages, oh my god, her role in Aquaman 2 was severely restricted, but she was still paid the $2 million, okay, her contract was fulfilled. What about her contract with L'Oreal? Oh yeah, no, that has been fulfilled and in fact extended all the way through 2023. Nothing has happened so far, okay? But she really had to fight to stay in Aquaman 2. Yeah, there's no way to substantiate any of that stuff, okay? That's like saying you show up every day on time for work because you're fighting to keep your job. The zero fucking consequence, okay? Oh, but according to, in the video deposition, if you remember one of the dozen that were played last Thursday, her agent said that she lost the role from an unspecified movie that Amazon was going to put on with an unspecified director, and was going to work with an actor of unknown origin, but it was definitely going to happen, and she lost that for sure with no monetary compensation number, and the agent could look it up if she felt like it, but never got around to it, and they don't have that on recording at all whatsoever. So yeah, that's the only damage that's been alleged so far. So realistically, they don't have anything on record. That's why Depp has to come to the stand. And what are they going to end with? And what are they going to get out of that testimony there? Other than reminding the jury, okay, they're just going to remind them that Depp is far more likable. And Amber Heard, in contrast, looks like the monster that everybody pretty much knows that she is. So it's going to be a complete and total fucking disaster that's not going to end well for her. Okay? But again, this could all just be, just trying to hype up the tail end of Amber Heard's case in chief, okay? They just want to put this opinion out there to the media, or rather the only, I guess, mainstream outlet, Court TV. That's the only one who actually has somebody in the audience, in the gallery every single day. And who is that? Well, that's a nice lady right there in the green shirt, okay? The green dress lady. It was making the rounds on here on this godforsaken place, okay? She works for Court TV, okay? You can see her in the gallery. She's always, the second or third row back. She's always dressed in some pastels, looking very pretty, very nice, wonderful, fantastic. We know that her wardrobe skills are completely on point, but when it comes to the reporting, it's a little bit hit and miss, because when she was down there on Friday relaying what was being discussed, and all of those negotiations and proceedings were available to the public. Don't know how many people turned up, but they weren't televised or anything like that, because it's just, I actually don't know why it's not televised really, but it wasn't, and she's just setting everything up, okay? So we'll get through some of this, and then to the contentious tweet out there, okay? What they went through on Friday was jury instructions, final motions, and then just really setting the clock so everybody knows what's going to be happening, because for the first time throughout the entire trial, there's going to be court every single day, including Friday, and Friday's going to be reserved exclusively, if they make it that long, it's tough to really say if both parties are going to be using the entire time, because Amber Heard's case in chief can't be going much longer outside of Johnny Depp. Like, you call him, you look like assholes, you gotta have somebody in reserve, okay, just to play cleanup, because you can't go out on such a fucking wet fart, like, unless they become brilliant lawyers over the weekend, which I highly doubt, but they gotta have some backup strategy before they toss it over to rebuttal, and who knows how long Johnny Depp's rebuttal is going to be, but there's time allotted Monday to Thursday, okay, 9 o'clock in the morning Eastern time through 5:30 in the evening, same court time. It's just Friday is going to be reserved for jury instructions, closing arguments, rebuttals, and all that other type of stuff, okay, like they have here. Each side is going to have 2 hours for closing arguments. There's going to be an hour for jury instructions. I forget where it's normally placed, if it's beforehand or after anyways, but yes, closing arguments, it's going to go, okay, it's going to go, yes, the plaintiff side, obviously. Then you're going to have Amber Heard's team, they're the defense, they're going to be able to provide their closing, okay? And this is where the note-taking just completely goes off the rails, right? Because you have the way that Shanley has it written here, okay, so you got Depp's closing, then Amber Heard's rebuttal, and then the closing, and then Depp's rebuttal, and then Heard's argument only on counterclaim. So yeah, it's going to go, Johnny Depp's team is going to speak first, give their closing arguments, then Amber Heard's side, and then Depp is going to be able to rebut any of the claims, okay? Because they're the plaintiff in the situation. They get last word on this, okay? That's the way that it's going to shake out on that. So, that's Friday, okay? All of the remaining time that's left on the clock, which we're going to recount as well, that doesn't count towards the 2 hours allotted for closing arguments, okay? That's going to be Friday, set in stone. Good to go. Okay, closing arguments scheduled for next Friday. Arguing closings for Depp, so perhaps Benjamin Chu is going to be delivering the closing, and then Camille will be doing the rebuttal, by the way that it's written here. Okay, it could have been discussed in court, but they're also leaving it up for interpretation in case they need to make some changes on the fly, or depending on how the week goes. Okay, so it'll be Chu and Vasquez, the same people who delivered the openings, obviously. Okay, the 2 lead counsels that are on it. And then for Heard's side, yes, Elaine Bredehoff, yes, the crazy cat lady. Will she be doing the closing and then being as crazy as possible in front of the jury for the most amount of time? I don't really know, okay? Rottenborn's probably a better speaker, but he is kind of spastic and does have a bit of a short fuse of all of the attorneys that are there, especially on Heard's side. He probably should be doing the closing in proper and not doing the rebuttal, but again, the way that it's written, it looks like he's going to be doing the rebuttal, but who really knows on this? Okay, so the jury, 2 alternates will be designated after closings. That's kind of standard with all of the different court cases that I've covered, and then also if you guys have been watching as well, okay, the alternates are normally picked after everything is all said and done, after all the closings are heard. The 2 that get dismissed and that they don't have to go into the deliberations, okay, they hear the jury instructions, and they're just left on call, but they don't have to be sequestered. I'm not even too sure if they're going to be sequestered or not, but the 2, yes, 2 are going to be dismissed, and then 7 are going to deliberate, okay. So 2 alternates will be designated after closings, but the judge will have them on standby just in case she loses a juror. Yeah, of course. So it doesn't really sound like they're going to be sequestered. So, and it depends on how long they get kept on Friday. Okay, like are they just going to go for a regular court day and then call it at the end of it and then just go home for the weekend? Or who knows even if deliberations are going to take that long, because again, it's only about 5-ish hours that are going to be set aside for the proceedings for the day, and then it gets turned over to the jury. It really might not take that long, because obviously if you take a look at all of that stuff, closings should be done by about dinner time, and then hear jury instructions after lunch, and then hey, hop to it, kids. So a breakdown of the jury. Okay, 6 men, 4 of them Asian, 2 of them white, 3 women, 1 Asian, 1 black, 1 white. Okay, what do you make of that without any of the ages that are there? Apparently, it's a very, very, very young jury, okay? It's just 1 older white guy and apparently 1 older white woman as well. And by older, I mean 50s or 60s. That's from the lawyers that were in the gallery for the past week's proceedings. They were saying that as well. And then outside of that, it's a lot of 20 to 30-year-olds, which is a little bit odd. We'll see how it shakes out. We don't know until the 2 alternates get dismissed who is ultimately going to make up the jury, but that's the demographics. Those are the breakdowns. Today, the jury instructions were finalized, okay? And this is where things get a little tenuous, okay? The judge ruled that Adam Waldman's 3 statements, okay, the 3 defamatory statements that Amber Heard is saying and are alleging in her counterclaim caused her horrific damage, and Adam Waldman made those statements on behalf of Johnny Depp at his instruction. But so far, it hasn't been proven. That hasn't been brought onto the record at all, whatsoever, okay? The source of Heard's counterclaim for defamation against Depp will be considered as Depp's statements under the theory of principal agent, a win for Heard. Not necessarily, okay, because this is where, okay, I've listened to a bunch of lawyers as well talk about this, okay, and the theory of principal agent is, again, Adam Waldman made those statements on behalf and at the instruction of Johnny Depp. What are the statements? Well, the statements were given to the Daily Mail, okay, saying that, in so many words, that Amber Heard was perpetuating this hoax against Johnny Depp, okay? And thanks to the evidence put before the jury, it sure looks like it, okay? But again, she's made this entire web of stories, we'll just go with that, alleging all of these horrific acts that were perpetuated against her by Depp. Therefore, Adam Waldman's statements, if they were in fact at the instruction of Johnny Depp, were knowing and willful lies. Therefore, he was acting as an agent in the situation at the direction of the principal, which should be principal, but principal, that's fine. Whatever, okay? You're just typing out stuff that you hear from inside the courtroom. That's wonderful. That's great, okay? But again, this is just jury instructions, as you've seen with the first tweet that's on here, okay? Hammering out jury instructions inter alia, which is just, and everything else, okay? Thanks, Latin. But the judge, okay, is laying out stuff that's going to be in the jury instructions. That's what they've been talking about after the jury was dismissed, after every day, okay? You need to get your sample jury instructions, okay? Bring them together so we can discuss them on Friday. That's what she was telling both sides at the end of the day so that they could, you know, just crescendo and discuss this type of stuff, okay? And this, yes, probably was a win for Heard's team, but the way that it's characterized in this tweet isn't going to be the way that it's going to be received by the jury. Let me explain, okay? Because the way that that reads is that Adam Waldman's statements came from Johnny Depp, and then that's for the jury to decide, okay? But no, that's not the fact, okay? That's going to be up to the jury to decide, because the principal agent theory that's out there, okay, is a theory of fact. Now, who decides the facts of the case? Well, it's not who specifically, it's a group of who's. Whom decides the facts of the case? That's for the jury to decide, okay? The judge, who's claimed to have make this ruling, decides the law, enforces the law. Therefore, leaving this up for a jury instruction if the Heard team can get on record that Waldman was acting at the direction of Johnny Depp, okay? Facilitating the principal agent agreement, okay? But again, that hasn't been put onto the record so far, okay? Adam Waldman, in his video deposition, could not answer thanks to attorney-client privilege. Couldn't discuss any of the interactions. That is an ironclad, I think, the Fifth Amendment, your right to an attorney, your right to remain silent. Your attorney cannot discuss the interactions that you have once you engage in that sort of professional relationship. And then even through his cross-examination with Ben Chu, Waldman also didn't make any claims to the fact that he acted and gave those statements in direct direction of Johnny Depp. So that's why this tweet right here, Johnny Depp will be called by the defense on Monday. They have to get him under some, I don't know, act of God to waive that right to attorney-client privilege and say, yes, I directed Adam Waldman to defame Amber Heard because I've lied about everything. He's never going to say that, and this is just going to blow up in their fucking face because they only have so much time left for the rest of the week. Okay, well, not closing arguments day, not for Friday. Okay, that's going to be completely and utterly off. Okay, those times are already decided. Okay, and everything that's going to be going on through the rest of the week, including the rebuttal, is all going to be in service of that closing argument, which is going to be the last thing that the jury hears before they head it into the box and decide who's going to get what's going to go where, and how are we going to get home before Memorial Day. Okay, and yes, so time check for this week. It doesn't look good. And I believe this, but when it's written down right there, it just shows poor time management, okay? Great for one side, terrible for the other. Okay, so Depp teams, okay, so far each side has used 61 hours, 15 minutes. That's how long, okay, outside of neutral time, okay? Sidebars, breaks, and all that kind of stuff. That's how long the case has been going on within the official confines of what's been tracked by the court, okay? So Johnny Depp's side has used 42 hours, 54 minutes, okay? That's how long that they've been doing their direct examination once they've had their case in chief, and then they've also done their cross-examination, okay? So they have left, 18 hours, 30 minutes. And I think I misspoke to begin with, okay? So each side had 61 hours, 15 minutes of the entirety. That's what they had to play with. Both sides had equal timing on this, okay? Because both have suits that they're bringing. One was the original suit, and then the other one was a countersuit by Amber Heard's side, okay? So they each had 61 hours, 15 minutes. And how they spent it so far, 42 hours, 45 minutes from Johnny Depp's side. So they have 18 hours, 30 minutes, okay? And that's going to be to cross-examine Johnny once he gets called Monday, presumably Monday morning, because they left everybody kind of hanging there over the weekend, not really pointing to what they're going to be doing after the video deposition. And taking a look at the witness list, there's not a lot of people left, at least any of consequence, that aren't just going to come back and say, yeah, I never really seen anything, and Amber was like a really good person, and Johnny was a really good person, and it's like, oh, didn't see much. And like, outside of that, it's like, what else are you going to do? Well, probably realizing that they couldn't immediately get everything admitted. I'd imagine that this was probably an argument that they had on Friday, right? Okay, well, we had Adam Waldman's video deposition. Does that mean that we can get the defamation claim brought in front of the jury? Are we not going to get dismissed after we rest our case in chief? Because there's going to be a motion to strike the counterclaim after Amber Heard rests her case. Okay, that's going to be brought by Johnny's side, as Amber Heard's side brought it after Johnny Depp rested his case in chief. Okay, but he proved the elements of his counterclaim by getting admission that the Washington Post article was written about Johnny Depp. Okay, and there was enough stuff on the record to prove that, yeah, that should be brought in front of the jury. And while we're going to be in a situation where there's going to be no concrete connection between the statements made by Adam Waldman and then he was being instructed by Johnny Depp, that's not going to come in, okay? There's going to be attorney-client privilege there, and it's going to be ironclad, and they can't try to fucking force their way through it. But they're going to try, and they're going to fail, and they're going to look fucking stupid before it's time to head over to rebuttal. And then on their side, like it says here, Amber Heard's side has used 53 hours and a minute, okay? And you just think about it, you just run it back. A lot of that was cross, because at the beginning, at the start of the trial, they were going at about the exact same time, cross-examining every witness. It was about the same amount of time, okay? Johnny was on the stand for direct examination for the better part of 2 days, and then it was probably a little bit shorter, but not all that much, because he was up there for the guts of 4 days, okay? And where Johnny Depp's side saved a lot of fucking time is on Amber Heard's cross-examination, okay? And it's amazing. They presented their entire case in chief, and they had a plethora of in-person witnesses, a whole bunch of video testimony as well, and they had the better part of 4 weeks, and they've saved nearly 10 hours of fucking time. That is great time management. Excellent lawyering right there, okay? Some of their objections have been a little bit goofy. Some of their questioning hasn't been as tight as you'd like. But the fact that they've been able to save 10 hours and reserve that for really anything, okay? Like, if, as it's going to be expected, Johnny Depp just goes up there, says nothing, they're able to cross-examine him, and he can say literally whatever, okay, if he can get away with going outside the scope of cross. Or even still, depends on who's going to be asking the questions on Depp. They could just start getting off into wild tangents, just asking him about some of the fantastical claims that Amber Heard made up when she was on the stand, okay? If they decide to go in that direction, they could be spending a bunch of fucking time. Johnny could be up there for the entire day, mostly on cross, at the direction of his counsel, and that could be fucking brutal. That could be really fucking brutal, and they have the time to do it, okay? And then they also have the time for the rebuttal, and we already know Jennifer Howell is going to be up there. We talked about her yesterday. Who else are they going to bring? Probably a character witness. Paul Bettany's on the witness list. Would he show up for him? Because there's a lot of people that show up for Depp and support Depp, and that would be cool to see, okay? okay? Or do you just recall Isaac Baruch, okay? He was the first guy who came up there. He was a crazy painter, very likable guy. He actually got a smile out of Amber Heard, and that's why she looked so heavily medicated afterwards, so she wouldn't be able to crack any sort of an expression as she was sitting at the defense table for the rest of the time. And it looks like she also carried that heavy drug use onto the witness stand because she could not formulate a single tear for most of the time she was up there, and instead she was rather even keel, except for when she was snapping back at Camille, and then that rushed abortion that was the rebuttal, or the redirect, sorry, my mistake. So yeah, you could bring back up Isaac Baruch, and he could just reaffirm that he didn't hear any of the stuff that was claimed during Amber Heard's case in chief, which that's what the rebuttal is supposed to be for. Any of the claims that was brought up during the defense's case in chief, the plaintiff has the opportunity to rebut those claims, okay? They have the opportunity to bring back anybody who was subject to rebuttal, which was a lot of the people who showed up. I can't think of anybody in particular. I know that there was a couple of people who were just released. I think it was the forensic accountant, Ed White, okay, no, it was Johnny's business accountant. That's who Ed White is. The forensic accountant, I think he was released, but Ed White, he may or may not have. A couple of the people were. Anyways, yes, but a bunch of people are subject to recall. Doesn't mean they will be, but they could be presented as that. And we also know that Dr. Curry, Dr. Muffins, Dr. Mommy, whatever you want to call her, she's going to be brought up there because Dr. Karen, Dawn Hughes, she was the one who said that, oh no, Dr. Curry doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about, and Amber Heard definitely has PTSD, and she has no personality disorders at all whatsoever. But yeah, Curry's going to be called. If she's not the first witness out of the box, she's going to be starting one of the days and just go, I fucking told you. And that's all she really needs to do. But then you can also walk through Dawn Hughes's poorly administered tests and just rip them apart, and then just play back some of the testimony that was in the court, and then just be like, yes, that's a hallmark sign of histrionic personality disorder. That right there is a great example of being borderline personality, and I also seen traits of being completely narcissistic personality disorder, maybe a touch of bipolar thanks to the mood swings and the micro expressions that she was pulling. It's gonna be brutal, and they got the time to do it, and Amber Heard's side doesn't have the time to counter any of their claims, okay? Because they're going to have to go into time management, okay? They're only going to have a limited amount of time to do cross, and I don't know what else they're planning to do on Monday outside of calling Johnny, other than try to make that claim, try to make that connection that he instructed Adam Waldman to make the claims to the Daily Mail, okay? Because there are 3 people that are involved in that story there that Amber Heard's side could call in order to affirm that claim. Waldman, that's gonna fucking fail. Okay, Depp, more than likely, that's gonna fail even more spectacularly, okay? You also could have called the author of that article, but I seen that name nowhere on any of the witness lists that were out there. So when it's all said and done, when they rest their case and that motion to strike the counterclaim down goes in front of the judge, it should, under the letter of the law, get stricken down. But, somebody calls her Mix-a-Lot, because there's a big old but coming. You really think the judge, which such a high-profile case, is going to strike that down? Or if they decided on those jury instructions over the past few weeks, okay, and spent an entire day on jury instructions, okay, and then came to the conclusion that the jury, if they find that fact to be there in evidence, they can consider that when rendering their decision, rendering their verdict, okay? Do you really think that she's going to strike down that claim? I highly doubt it. But expect that argument, okay? Expect that in the closing argument, and expect a lot of the questions that are going to be pointed at Johnny. It's apparently been confirmed he's going to be up there. Expect a lot of the direct examination, and then also there's going to be a lot of leading questions as well, because it's the party of the other suit. So Heard's team's going to be able to call Depp not as under a regular witness, but as a hostile witness, and ask leading questions. That's why I think it's going to be Crazy Cat Lady, because literally we've been watching her for the past 5 weeks at this point, and the bitch can only ask leading questions. So what, if anything, did you do to defame Amber Heard? That's going to be fine. It's going to be atrocious. It's going to be fucking hilarious, but that's going to be the setup for the week. I'm looking forward to this more than ever. This just this trial coverage, I don't even care the fact that it's been the most popular shit that a lot of people have seen on a bunch of their channels, but even for me specifically, some of the most successful videos that I've done on my channel. This has really reinvigorated me to do coverage, and I'm super excited for this week because it's going to be unexpected to say the least. But with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. Why don't you follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.